everyone seems to agree it's a crime that women earn less than men and government must do something. Amy Holmes is a student of economics. You must agree that government needs to fix this wage gap.
Indeed, John, I don't. And as a matter of fact, that 70 cents number is in itself misleading. If you look at the number and you actually control so that you can get an apples-to-apples comparison, Harvard economists Claudia Golden and Lawrence Katz have found that wage gap shrinks tremendously.
And what upset me is the president knows this, and even his own Department of Labor says after controlling for occupation, experience, other choices, women earn 95% as much as men do.
Correct. So the reason why 70 cents is incorrect, that it's false, is that it's comparing all full-time women to all full-time men, regardless of occupation. And even the term full-time is misleading, that only refers to a 35-hour work week. And as it turns out, men work longer hours than women, and so they tend to chalk up a higher wage.
And my understanding is that we men tend to work not just longer hours, be more willing to move for a job, be willing to go to unsafe places. I assume you women are smarter, that we have less balanced lives. We're willing to give everything up for ambition at work.
We are different. And they looked at one study of University of Chicago MBAs. They looked at over 2,000 people who had graduated from the University of Chicago, very elite university with their MBAs from 1990 to 2006. And what they found was in the beginning of these graduates' careers, their wages were very close. There was only a minimal difference. Where you saw that wage gap widen up was over time. Women were far more likely to take time out of the workforce to have career pauses and to work shorter hours. And I found this extraordinary that during that time, only 10% of male University of Chicago MBAs took 6 months or more out of the workforce, whereas when it came to women, 40% of women took 6 months or more off. And that has big ramifications when it comes to salary.
Men are 4 times as likely to ask for a raise than women.
They are. Men are 8 times more likely to negotiate their salary than women. If you negotiate your salary, you can raise your salary by 7%. So imagine that time, 8 times more men willing to raise their salaries by 7%. Just walking in the door.
Not something government can fix.
No, certainly not.
And at the top, in 147 of 150 of the biggest U.S. cities, full-time salaries of young women are 8% higher than men.
You know, that sort of surprises me because it's a statistic that you don't know, but just to perhaps speculate, this isn't scientific on my part, if you look at cities, that tends to be a knowledge economy. And now let's look at education. Nearly 60% of all bachelors now are awarded to women. Women are earning more, a majority of master's degrees and
government has to help them.
Well, actually, you would think if you're concerned about the gender gap, you'd be kicking women out of college to get more men in.
And the majors that men and women choose. The high-pay college majors are petroleum engineering, mathematics, computer science, aerospace, mechanical engineering, mining, mineral engineering. These are 90% male, 87% male, 67% male.
Right.
The low-pay majors, early childhood education, overwhelmingly female, human services, social work, communications disorders. These are the people who helped me address my stuttering. I'm thankful for them. But they pay less, so it shouldn't be a surprise that there's a difference.
Now, you know, a lot of feminists would look at that list of majors and say, well, the reason for that is that men are encouraged as boys to be mathematicians and engineers and playing with trucks and Legos, where girls are given dolls and dollies and Barbies, and it's sexism in how we raise our children. But when you get to college, I've been, you've been, you get to pick your own major. I chose economics. Maybe I would have liked a little art history, too.
We went to the same college. You went
Indeed
25 years later. When I went, you wouldn't have been allowed in because no women allowed.
And aren't you glad that's changed? It must have been very lonely for you.
It was lonely. I didn't like it. But the culture has changed. We don't need government to do these things.
No, we don't, and we didn't need government to, to enlist young women to go to college. They made that choice themselves, and as I've mentioned, and they're now outnumbering men in college.
Thank you, Amy Holmes. Coming up,